All right, you guys, so this here, right, we're assuming that you're starting with your, you've already test bred, you've bred out like, 300 to 500 offspring and you've watched everything, right? So basically, this here is your sure shot genetics that you want to start with, right? You've already been there, done that, know that they're solid. So this is the group that you're going to actually push forward with, right? So you take your original group, and this is for creating and maintaining a strong progressive bloodline, right? And so you're going to take your original group, breed them, take all of your best offspring, and then you're going to create 3 totally, and you're going to isolate each group. You're going to make 3 groups that are completely, from start to finish, always kept separate. So you're not going to be crossing these offspring with these. You're not going to be crossing those offspring with those. None of them. They're all staying separate. This, treat it like an entirely different line than this. So what you will do is you will then be taking your best offspring, 3 groups, and you're going to breed each group down. So you're going to breed the group. So technically this here, your first breeding is going to be your F1s for this group, not this, right? Because it's not actually important for you to reference those from this. So, but anyway, so each group here, you're going to breed down. So you're going to breed them, choose your best. You're going to breed them, choose your best, and you're going to breed them and choose your best. Now, you're breeding brother and sister together, brothers together on each one of these. You are not breeding back. That is something totally different. You are not doing that on this. That is not what I'm showing you to do. So this model is for following these steps, which I find to be the most consistent, swiftest, and thorough. It also gives you the most safeguards as well. So, which I will explain to you now. So you're going to be doing that all 3, right? So you're breeding this group here, keeping offspring and everything separate. They're their whole own thing. You're going to breed, bam, choose all your best offspring, make that group. Bam. All the best offspring, bam. All the best offspring. You're doing that on all 3 of these. Now, let's say that you have one group here that's getting some faults here, right? Okay, so then what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to eliminate this whole group. And this gives you the ability to still run the program while also being able to test. If you get through all 3 generations here on both these lines and you're not seeing the fault, then you know the fault was somewhere in here, which means you can eliminate this. Now, this program here can be run with 2 groups if need be. 3 is better, and it's better because it creates a safeguard for you. 2, so definitely workable, but not as good. So, again, because otherwise what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to stretch it further, which is not ideal. So, but anyway, so again, so you're creating from your original pair, you're breeding them, or group, right? Depending on what you're doing. If you're doing reptiles, then you're going to be doing it's a pair, but just the same. So you're going to be separating 3 entire different groups and offspring, breeding them, choosing the best offspring from each group, and creating your F1s from these 3 groups. Then you're going to breed the best offspring, brother and sister together, bam, creating F2 from each of these 3 groups. Then you're going to choose the best from those and create a new group. And then you're going to choose the best ones from those and do this down here. But again, if you're seeing faults and you're on F2 or F3, then cut this off and use these 2. If you're not seeing the fault by down here on these, you're safe to proceed. If you are seeing the fault from there, then you're going to have to just eliminate that, breed this one more time, and if you're seeing the fault come out again, then you just screwed and you got to start the whole thing over, and it means that you did not actually choose a strong enough start point. That does happen. So you got to know, and again, that's an experience thing. Like I myself can breed 300 to 500, sometimes 700, depending on what I'm seeing out from other things, and then I already know, okay, so I'm actually going to be not happy with this, so I'm not going to proceed it forward to this. So I already know a lot of the safeguards to be watching for a lot of this stuff, and that's just something that comes with experience. But so anyways, let's just assume that you didn't see any faults on any three all the way down to these. So you have your F3s from the original three groups that you made. What you're going to do is you're going to cross then on the next ones, and you're going to breed the best offspring from each one, cross hatching. So you're going to breed the best males to the best females here. You're going to breed the best females there to the best males there. Now, why would you do that? Well, okay. For one, certain genetics pass differently depending on if it's from male or female, and that largely depends on what species you're actually breeding. Sometimes for certain traits, it would be, one or the other. So like in betas, there is actually a sequence that you would need to follow accordingly, but that again is a whole nother shoot. Those of you guys who know me well, you already know I've been here, done this with all that stuff. But just the same, we're not talking about that now. So this here is going to give you an equalized ratio so that you have the best odds of seeing everything possible to know the true progress of where you're actually at on the offspring from these cross-hatched down. So again, you're going to breed these cross-hatched like this, and then the offspring from these, you're going to move down here, and you're going to actually take that group that you put of all your best offspring, best males and females from this crosshatch. You're doing the same thing here. You're going to cross those best females, etc. And you're going to create another group from these two breedings, all the best ones. You're going to move down there. So now you have two groups from cross-hatching each of these lines down. That's going to give you one total crosshatch here to do. 1 minute, I gotta pause this. Okay. So before we go down further, right, I want to explain here. So we're leaving off on this. You've crossed these two lines, males and females cross-hatching, creating two more groups. Why would we go down 3 from this point? For most species, going down 3 or 4 is most ideal for, genetically speaking, the diversity, genetically between these lines is actually equal to as if you brought fresh blood in, because genetically they become different by the point they're here. So that's why you're breeding only brother and sister together. And yes, that is going to bring forward all the positive traits very, very quickly. It is also going to bring forward all the negative traits very, very quickly. And again, that's okay. You're not trying to avoid the positive and negative traits coming out. We are trying to force both to happen quickly. So again, this is a very aggressive breeding point model for creating and maintaining a bloodline, but yet you can take this whole thing and stretch it virtually, indefinitely. Could you run into something way down the road that would be an end of the road type thing? Sure, you could, but odds of it are pretty small. So anyway, though, yeah, so you doing this here is creating the genetic diversity. You are creating them different by doing this. So the DNA of each, you see what I mean, is diverse. So anyway, I'm trying to also explain this just pretty simplistic so everyone can understand this, and I feel like no one can misunderstand what I'm stating here. So anyway, so again, you're going to crosshatch each of the lines, male and female, like this, best from these. And then you're going to have two groups down here. So now you just crossed, which counts as a literal outcross, without bringing new blood in to strengthen it. You crossed their outcrossing, and then you also outcrossed these two. So now you have two groups equally outcrossed, and you're going to breed those together down here. So what you just did was took three lines that at this point equate to completely separate blood. And you're going to cross. And you know, because you didn't see any faults down these lines, that it's clean blood, not dirty, not problematic, no genetic defects being surfacing out. So again, if you do see it, fine. I'm going to go ahead and erase this now. Cool. So then what do? Let's say you saw a fault down here. Like I said, you're going to take these two lines that proved to be to par. You're going to cross this one line here. Best male, best females, right? And you're going to get another group here. Then that group is going to count as this, all offspring. And you'll restart here. So then what you would do is cross these two lines, take all the best offspring, all the best, and you're going to create three lines again that are separate again with those offspring, just like there. And you're going to restart this. So if you take and pretend like this line's still here because you did not see faults on any of the three, then you're going to get down here, you're outcrossing. So now you have three totally different lines cross-hatched for best traits. You're bringing them down into two. You're crossing those, counting as even further outcrossing, because now you're taking this line and also integrating it into this line because you're crossing both. So now you have all the best. You have all the best genetics between all three lines. You're going to take those offspring, you're going to breed them together, and you're going to create three again, just like this. So all you're doing, original, best sure shot, breeding them. All offspring go to three groups. You're keeping all three groups separate and offspring at all times. Then you're breeding those and taking all the best offspring and making three groups. So you now have three different breeding groups again. You're going to take all the best offspring and breed brother and sister again. Down, brother and sister again. Bam. Crosshatch. Breed best, down, breed three groups. If this is faulty, just breeding three generations, brother and sister, down, keeping them separate. Crosshatch the two generations, or the two bloodlines at that point, like two shoots, right? And then you're going to end up with diverse offspring here. These will be just as good as if you took two different lines and crossed them together. So you're taking unrelated blood and just crossing two, but the difference is, both these shoots here are clean genetically. They're not going to throw you a bunch of, BS. So that there is creating you still very viable offspring to then repeat this process again. But except for, you won't bring it down to two again. You'll bring it back into three. So again, this is how you clean a bloodline. And that's also why I like three the most. You could do more, but honestly, if I'm being true, it's not going to be very beneficial for you, actually. So trust me, I've done up to 5, and I did not actually find it to be anything but a mess. And it really sucked up my abilities to do other things. I never once found it to actually be that preferable for me. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't bad, it just was not beneficial. It didn't do anything for me in the end, and it didn't do anything for the strength or integrity of the fish or the consistency of the genetics. So Again, 3 is great, most ideal. 2 is doable. Just be willing to accept that you one day might meet the end. So again, if you properly maintain it, or you do get to a route where you have to shave this off and you're only running 2 and you're like, crap, I got to shave this down, and you only have 1, then what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to take your progress where you left off here. You're going to need to grab your best male and females from here, and you're going to have to cross them into a new bloodline that is the best you can source, whatever you have the most confidence in. And then you will take the offspring from these and go back up here and then start this again and go. So again, it's savable, but if you're trying to only have closed genetic make the fastest progress, what you're going to be doing is you're going to want to follow this. So if you can dedicate the space and resources for each one to run 3, you are very, very on par and very secure, because the odds of you actually truly running into, if you're truly starting with the proper beginnings, right? You won't have all 3 of these going bad. You will reach this. So again, even if you did, let's just say you kind of chose a little half, you know what, then great, shave one of those off and you still push forward with this. If you are seeing it with another one of these, again, this early on, then it's safe to say you got to just start a new, choose a new start point. So again, you can quickly see why in the previous video I stated that this takes so much resources. But again, if you're taking the original most solid start and you're breeding it down, breeding offspring, separate them into 3 best groups, and then keeping that down, breeding it F1, 2, 3 from the beginning of those groups, not the beginning of this, then you will see that the diversity here, as you're crossing these, will actually quickly bring you into fish that are much stronger than fish here. If you're doing this process, you will not find, and like I said, you're eliminating any negative trait at all. Let's say that you see, swim bladders not developing correctly, or you see finnage defects consistently that you're like, oh, I really don't like that. Then, okay, you're going to take that, or inconsistency in color. Then you're going to remove this. Go to these. Crosshatch these down here. Take the offspring there. Move them back up here. Do the same thing again. So that is what you're going to be doing, except for if you're doing that, you're not going to rebreed them again in the beginning. You're just going to take the offspring from this crosshatch here and make them into 3 groups again. So hopefully this is a good demonstration visually for you guys to be able to actually see. But again, original, breed, 3 groups. Just breeding siblings together down to F3, and then you're going to cross. Can you do one more generation down? Because I know some of you might be thinking that, depending on how genetically, hip you are or not. Then the answer is yes, you can go for it. It depends on the species. So the reason why I'm saying 3 is because 3 is the for sure. 4 sometimes is actually completely warranted. So again, that will be up to you to decide, and to be able to actually, you'll have to see in your results what you're doing. If you are getting to 3 and you're like, I don't see anything, you can check and see if your 4th generation, what it does. And if you start to see something you don't like here, does it mean you should eradicate that line at that point? No. You should cross them here and continue on with your program. You should not just say, well, I went 4 gens. All that means is that the specific species you're working with isn't wanting to go brother and sister 4 generations. So that is perfectly normal. That's perfectly fine. Some of them, literally, you will get the 4th gen and you won't even know. Like I used to breed wild Lawanda groups. I had 3 different whole shoots, and I ran this program on each of them. And I could get 4 generations every single time like clockwork, and it never once was problematic. As a matter of fact, they were just beef all the way through every time. So again, can you do 4? Absolutely. If you are seeing nothing but positive as you're going down, and you're just selecting best offspring each time, and you get to 3 and you're like, well, what the heck? Just go 4. See, if they'll do 4, by all means, it just means they're that much more genetically diverse. But by all means, by the time you have 3 under your belt and you're breeding again, then you're going to be in the realm of the beginning of genetically diverse enough to count as outside blood. So that's why I built this model here for you guys to see with 3, not 4. Because 3 is the for sure fire. 4 is the you got to test. So can you do this model here with sapphires? You can. Can you do this model with Eucyssia? You can. Can you do this model with yellow blaze? You can. Can you do this model with firefish? Oh, hell yeah. Can you do this model with, going 4 generations down? I mean, not 3, right? Geez. I mean, honestly, the list is pretty large. You guys should be able to realistically get to 4, no problem, with most species. But again, I'm trying to show you sure shot, because I know for a fact that some, like guppies, you would be better off sticking with 3, not 4. So, but anyway, again, I'm trying to make this video so that it's kind of encompassing not just for African cichlids. I was wanting to make this video so that it was able to show you guys kind of a good model to be running even if you're not breeding cichlids. So again, if you were doing beta too, you could go 4, no problem. 3 to 4 depending. You would have to kind of gauge that, but by all means, by most, you should be able to get to 4 fine. If you're doing geckos, you for sure will get to 4 fine. But just the same, yeah, it just, like I said, I'm trying to show you guys sure shot. I'm not trying to show you guys, what ifs, maybes, buts, and ors. I'm showing you guys for sure. So again, hopefully this all makes sense to you here. I'll kind of hold the camera still here so you can see, and you can still understand the one that I erased perfectly fine because I showed it in the beginning. But I'm just doing this just so you guys can screenshot this if you want, and you can draw it out again and have that on there. This is only one model. This is not all models. So I will be walking each of you guys through several models. So, and explaining the differences too as you're going through here. What would you then do if you ran into a new genetic? What would you do if all of a sudden you were breeding these down and you saw a natural strain of albinism or something of the sort, right? Depending on what you're breeding, it could just be an entirely different morph, And in which case, then we would jump over here and we would start a new program with it. So if you're running something like this in a proper bloodline too, you know for a fact that if you do run into a new gene or something, that you can hop over here and you can start a whole new world of possibilities, and know that they're strong enough because you did your work in the first place to make sure that you were running a clean operation. So again, sometimes, unfortunately, people find running improper, just kind of half, willy-nilly, not even no rhyme or reason, and they run into like, oh my gosh, I just saw something pretty cool, and then they come over here to try and replicate it, and guess what? It's already so genetically weak that it's ridiculous. The process they have to do to then try and not only maintain the gene or the trait, and then they got to come over here and try and actually breed it out, and then they got to try and play strengthening games, and that can be, it's definitely doable if you're really experienced, but for most people, that's actually going to be just a total, it's going to be a mess. So again, I can't stress enough how much this actual program here is important for anything at all that you guys have seen me breeding. This model will just, you will not find it to be faulty. It will be ruthlessly swift and effective. So again, I've ran this whole system. So the most I've ran this personally, just so you guys can understand, because you guys know I've bred a lot of animals. The most I've ever ran this operation here, just so that I'm being upfront. But I do know people who have done it much longer than that even. Not my program, but one's fairly similar. They have been able to do much further than 3. But I've recreated this, going all this whole system, restarting 3 whole times and working on my 4th one. And as far as betas go, too, I actually had someone else complete the whole 4th cycle and are on their 5th cycle now. And the betas are strong as all you know what. And the genetics are just clean. Manipulating it around to whatever you want it to do is so fast and simple. But it's because the genetics are that clean. And if you know the back history of your animals, then you can quickly see, okay, so I did this here. Now I can cross it with this line and I'll pop it back out here and then continue back down this and already have my goal not only reached, but surpassed what I thought I was able to. And so again, it all stems from running this system here properly. If you're not doing this, or something very similar, in my opinion, I hate to say this because it might sound harsh to some of you guys, but for the ones that are already genetically very, very hip and experienced, you're going to already know. But if you're not running something very similar to this, then you are not really in the realm of an actual breeder yet. You're just not, because this is what it takes. It takes being able to really, truly create a bloodline and maintain it. Cleaning it as you go. Enhancing it as you go. Strongest animals possible. If you can do this and keep repeating, then guess what? And a lot of you guys have already watched me that already know me too. You guys have actually watched me do this not just with one species. You guys have watched me do this with countless of them, and creating my own bloodlines even, and then starting them here, like the ones I'm talking about, going through 3 whole cycles of this, like all repeated. I already created my own line to start, and I didn't do it with 1. I did it with 17 lines. So some of them, sure, I was only about 2 through, because obviously the oldest bloodlines that I created and had, I was doing more, but just the same. With geckos, though, I could recreate this as many times as I wanted. I mean, tell me. So leopard geckos, you could do this model and you would just be golden the entire time. The problem is most people don't know this model to begin with. So again, I don't actually know anyone that has shown something. I'm not going to say it doesn't exist out there. Maybe it does, but not that I've seen. So for whatever that's worth, I don't know, but I'm just trying to put forth my knowledge and things that those of you who know me and have known me over the years, that you've watched me do, because you guys know this is all true. So again, I really hope that this stuff helps you guys. I'll end this video now. It was a little bit longer than I was expecting, and I'm sorry.